Very good evening to you. It's Jim from Observatory. Just to let you know, we will be, as normal, at the end of this month, in about 3 or 4 days, be doing the latest magnetic North Pole position. You guys know why that's important. We're now clear of the 40-degree mark, and even by other scientists' research, we are heading towards that 45 degrees now, where somewhere between 40 and 45 degrees we anticipate something will happen. If it doesn't, in the not too distant future, based on the experiments that I conducted. It really is strange that this topic and the other two topics, the return of the glacial period and the grand solar minimum, isn't covering more momentum with the mainstream media, because people unfortunately do listen to it. I know that the majority of the people that follow this channel have given up listening to and taking notice of what is said on mainstream media. It's absolutely we all know it's our own governments of our own countries that we live in. It's their propaganda tool. They use it to let us know what they want us to know and nothing else. If you're a separate entity like this observatory, obviously you're going to get some backlash off them, and it's blatantly obvious what they've done by not really giving any specific reason as to why they have considered our content unsuitable, and therefore we're not allowed to monetize it, which is a real shame now, because we've reached a total of 5.5 million views since we've been going, and it's been going a few years, but on average now we're hitting numbers around 200,000 views a month. And it's like I said in the video the other day, my 2 local churches wouldn't see those sort of numbers in the next 20 years, coming to their church and become part of the congregation in there and listen to what that dear old fella has got to say, the pastor or the vicar or the padre or whatever he may be. They're just not interested anymore in and it's not just Christian, Catholic religions, it's religions across the range are losing traction in attracting people into them. The world is changing, and you know it as well as I know it. If we are honest with each other, we know what our problems are. And even myself, I've got logical problems which I know I should be acting differently, but not doing it, and as a result, I'm where I am right now, same as you guys, for maybe the same reasons, maybe for slightly different reasons. We all know what is going on with at least 3 of the biggest anomalies that are taking place right now in humankind. The magnetic reversal will lead to a lot of things. We've tried to cover most of them and give you guys the heads up. We know that the magnetosphere will weaken. That'll allow more cosmic rays in. That'll cause more cancers and more cardiac arrhythmias. We're already seeing this happen already. There is doctors that you can follow on YouTube which are covering a strange anomaly, and it is heart attacks across all age groups, and they know something's wrong. And what they're trying to do is figure out what is actually behind it. There is speculation, and I'm sure you've got your own reasons, but you know what we really need to start doing is not just speculating on these subjects, assuming that we know the answers. It's best policy if we actually do a little bit of research to become in a better situation to make a more informed decision based on facts. This is something that we all should be doing more of right now. I said that in the other video that you could possibly make money out of, the information that we reveal here on this channel. You could clearly do that. You could mop up now if you just used your common sense a little bit. It wouldn't take too much for you to figure out how to do that. But I did say that's not what we're about here. We're not here to clean the shop up of all its goods, and wax ourselves rich on the back of this, because I think it would be wrong to do that. What we need to do is better prepare ourselves mentally for what is about to happen, and physically if it's viable. And I know a lot of people are in probably the same situation as me. You don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of expendable cash. I understand, I really do. I've tried to talk about this with you guys on a few occasions, and you know what, I want to talk about something in a short while. It's slightly off subject, but don't worry. We can afford ourselves to do other conversations, which I think are equally important, because we've got the equipment right here, right now, every 3 seconds, taking readings of the magnetic North Pole. And when we take the SD card out of the master system, we can process it and give you the information. It's more accurate to do this. No human being on this planet could do it as accurately as what the Trimax system is doing, and it's doing it faster than what a human being could do. You couldn't go outside and take a reading of where the magnetic North Pole is yourselves at the rate that the Trimax system does, accurately, every month, and we're doing it twice a month now. I get beat up, just to change the subject a little bit, I get beat up a lot for asking for support, and I don't understand why that is. This is a public observatory, publicly funded by just a very few people. Why is it a big deal to ask for some support and help? If we all do our own little bit, we can all get something out of it. If none of us do anything, then the disappearance of another observatory goes in the blink of an eye. And what we don't want right now, and I think you'll agree with me, is another spark of light disappearing in the vast darkness. What we do here is more than anybody else. Okay, we don't have the flashy graphics. We don't have the green screen, because it's just a nightmare. It really is a nightmare. I wanted to go down that route and making the videos more interesting and improving the content, but it's grief. I do enough on my own here as it is, and as well as that, trying to put some bread on the table as well, doing other things. It's just not physically possible for me to come in and set the green screen up every time I want to do a video, because you have to keep adjusting everything, because the light changes. If I'm doing a video like now, it's just going past 9 o'clock, it's a bit dusk outside, I'd have to alter and mess about with everything on OBS to get the colours right, so that the background would look reasonably well. What I think is more important is what I talk about, and not so much as what you see. If there's important charts to show, I do that. If there's important articles, that are in line with what we do here at the observatory, I bring them to your attention, I show you them. And that's, I think, the best way to do it. When you go onto these channels, they've got all these flashy graphics. You know what? I understand. I don't think many people could sit through a black and white movie in this day and age and enjoy it as much as they would, a Pixar movie, for instance, with a lot of technology, putting animations in it and everything else. I personally would. I joke, my family I joke about it, there's nothing worse than a black and white movie on a godforsaken rainy day. There's not. But I can watch, if I can get my head around it and I'm relaxed, I can watch a black and white movie quite easily. And You know, it's talking about things like black and white movies, going back to the old days, is what I think what we need to do a little bit more. I know we all want technology, but trust me, it isn't worth it. You know, these things, these iPhones go out of fashion every year, and there's another one. And where are they going now with these iPhones? I was offered by the phone contract company the new iPhone 14, is it? It's apparently, after I watched a review, the exact same as the 13, only it's got this collision satellite communications. Okay, it's a good idea, but is it worth £1,000 and 3 years payments for just that? I don't know. I suppose it could be life-saving. You know, you do hear of people being trapped in the cars. I heard of a recent one where there was, I think, 4 kids in a car, young lads, and the car had gone round an island, because we got them in the UK. It's a bit strange for the Americans when they come over here and they navigate that island for the first time, I'm sure. But we've got these islands, and they went round it a bit too quick, and the car flew off through a hedge, left no skid marks on the road, but they was there for 2 days without any assistance. And when they was found, I think 2 of them or 3 of them out of the 4 died, and the other one was badly injured. So in that case, I suppose, you know, having a collision warning system on a phone that relies on satellites, not cell networks, is probably a good idea. But for me, I'm happy with the one I've got now. I think this is an iPhone 11, and the battery's becoming a bit sluggish on it. You know, trying to download the latest OS 16, is it now? It's just a nightmare. You know, and you know, I wonder how much actual benefits these devices are actually giving us now. They're causing probably more trouble than what they are actually worth sometimes. I mean, I use it as a phone. Maybe I communicate on WhatsApp sometimes with people because, you know, we've got equipment in different countries. So I might do that, or I might do an email on the move. You know, it's about all I do. I'm not like a lot of people that you see now are constantly on their phones. If you go for a coffee, everyone's on the mobile phone in the coffee shop. You know, if you go on a train in the morning, everyone's on their mobile phone. It's like they've got nothing else in their life. You know, they walk around 24 hours a day with that stuck to their arse. And, you know, the social skills are going down the drain. The communication skills are gone because they don't know how to communicate. I mean, if you heard the way this young generation talk, you know, I almost feel like saying to them, if they was to improve, you know, the way they talk, they communicate, you know, instead of having you know exactly what I'm talking about. They've all got this same voice. Where's this come from? Is this what happens when you submerge your brain into too much computer games when you're younger? I don't know, but they've all got this voice and they practice getting this voice. It's like, I can't describe it. But I thought to myself, you know what, if there was to just not get elocution lessons, but just speak reasonable English, they could probably put another £6,000 or £7,000 on your annual salary just for that. You know, people would be more interested in listening to them speak, and they wouldn't be coming across half soaked. Strange world we live in. I did want to start off this video talking about something else. I wanted to just get your thoughts around, because we get in the comment section, there's 2 things. I'll leave the second till just a few minutes. And what I wanted to talk about is what people have been saying in the comment section about, you know, because I've been talking about these politicians, one rule for them, one rule for us. You know, if you've followed Hunter Biden's saga recently in court, he's pleaded guilty, but there'll be no imprisonment for him, what he's done. But if it was us, you know, our arses would be in a sling right now, and we'd be hauled through the court system and chucked into some incarceration platform without a doubt. So we've got a two-tier system. And what I've been noticing in the comment section is people talking about human law and God's law, or the universal law, and I think it's absolutely right. You know, if you could just for 1 minute imagine yourself. Okay, let's talk about the second thing as well. So the second thing is we're at the distance that the Earth orbits, only 1,000 miles further away. And we've got this blue planet, our Earth, hurtling towards us because it orbits our sun at 70,000 miles an hour. Yeah, you just get your head around that sort of big number of speeds. That's, you put your little finger out the window at half that speed and that finger's no longer there because friction has just incinerated it instantly. So you've got this blue planet hurtling towards you. And I just wonder, I know that it's supposed to be a vacuum and that there's an arguable case again. You know, a lot of people say it's not a vacuum, it is a vacuum. Well, let's just say we're able to hear the noise of this planet hurtling towards us at 70,000 miles an hour, and we're just 1,000 miles away from it as it's going to approach. When it's on us, we will be 1,000 miles away, so we're out just by 1,000 miles of being in its direct impact range. Now this thing comes past us so fast, so noisy, you know, and then we're just watching it disappear, because as soon as we saw it at 70,000 miles an hour, it's now almost out of sight. You can imagine the horrendous noise of this, what would be sounding like an horrific meteor tearing away past us. And then we get back to our law and God's law, because there we see the blue planet disappearing away, further and further away, becoming smaller and smaller. And we know that on that planet there are human beings that have written thousands and thousands and thousands of laws, and to the point that we don't even know the law that we broke when we have broke it, because we didn't know the law to start with. And the point why I'm talking about this, and why I suppose people have mentioned it in there, is because, you know, the universe is a vast expanse of lots of galaxies, lots of solar systems within them galaxies, and lots of planets just like ours. And, you know, that has and operates by law of itself. And you know what? I can't get my head around as a scientist. And, you know, I grew up, you know, with a Catholic mother, and my father was Church of England. And, you know, thankfully they never enforced their religions on us five that were growing up in there. So they had 5 kids. And they never forced any religion on us, and we grew up, you know, believing what we wanted to believe. And, you know, when we was younger, I suppose, well, I'm talking about myself now, I believed that there was something out there was a God, you know, only because what we learned in religious education at school, and, you know, what other friends and families was talking about, you know, we understood that there was some, you know, important entity out there that was in charge of everything. Now, you know, I got to a point in time where I thought, okay, I don't want to accept this now, because I accept science as a lot of answers. And then I had a bit of an argument with a friend, or a discussion. Me and my friend used to always debate about this. I would be on the side of the science, my friend would always be on the side of religion. And, you know, we got talking one night, and he said something to me. I don't need to repeat it, but he said something to me, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give the book a read. I'll give the Bible a read. And there was a couple of things that stood out to me after I'd got, I suppose, an education in science and not a lot of knowledge in science. So what stood out to me first of all was at the very beginning of the Bible. It's talking about things which could be described easily in science, but they're being described in a layman's way of understanding. What I'm talking about are the affirmatives. You know, how God separated land and then the water, separated the skies and from the land and the water. You know, what was being discussed there, which was obviously clear to me, was the states of the three states of matter: liquid, gas and water. Or, sorry, liquid or water, gas and solid, frozen ice. You know, these things were being talked about in the very first few pages. But what really, you know, surprises me today is that, you know, we've got all these millions of laws. You know, in the Bible, they just said live by the 10 commandments, 10 laws, simplified. You know, only a very intelligent species would, you know, or if you was to have a talk with a very super intelligent person, how can we round up these 10 million or so laws, or 10,000 laws? How can we round them up to something nice and sweet that, you know, if we just abide by that, it won't be a bad life? There you go, 10 commandments. I don't know them all off by heart, but you know, it's honour your mother and father. Don't tell lies against your neighbour. Don't get your neighbour in trouble. You know, love thy neighbour. You know, don't commit adultery. Don't steal. You know, just basic things, but important things that we fail to get right, even right now, and we've made a right hash of the justice system. That we've got all these laws now that half the people that break them don't know to start with that they broke it. They didn't even know it was a law. Because there's that many. Now people fall vulnerable to, you know, breaking the law without knowing it. That's exactly where we've ended up. On top of the compiled massive amounts of corruption. All leads down to one thing: money and greed. So I suppose, you know, I'll give you a few things to think about there. You know, I'll just leave you with this other analogy. Talking about laws, you know, this is how much of a mess we've got ourselves into. How many species, if I asked you, are on this planet? Could we agree on over 1 million different species across the range? It's probably more than that, but could we agree that there is just 1 million? And if I said to you, which is the most intelligent, you would say us. Human beings are the most intelligent. You know, we put ourselves at the top of the food chain, we eat everything else, and we're in control of everything else. We've got equipment to take us up into the skies and beneath the seas if we want. We're the most intelligent. But there are another 1 million species out there that don't require planning permission to build a house wherever it wants. That bird over there can build its nest in any one of those trees. There is no planning applications for that bird. Only human beings. Ownership for that bird is his, so long as it's got it in his beak and in its belly. And that's the horny cat in the background, who's still not allowed out. But, you know, this is where we are. So much trouble we've got ourselves into, and yet we class ourselves as intelligent. We can't even build a house wherever we want, just like the other 1 million species out there. They're not barred from it. Only the intelligent species is barred from doing such things. And that shows us how intelligent we are. You know, we get given 10 laws to abide by for a good way of life. We want to create tens of thousands of laws, half of which we don't even know we're breaking when we're breaking, or that was a law. That's exactly where we've got ourselves right now, and it goes even deeper and worse than this, guys, and you know it. And you know, I'd be interested in your ideas in the comments section as well. Why not? Because you are probably like me. You know something's got to change, And you know it's got to come from us. It's we the people that have got to make them changes. Because if we're waiting for the greedy elites to do it, it's never going to happen. You know, we're seeing them kill thousands and thousands of people all around the world, and they're the ones in power, and they're the ones responsible for those deaths. We're talking men, women and children across all range groups. Grandpa, grandma, uncle, aunt, sister and brother, mother and father, daughter and son, you know, across all the ranges. So something's got to change. When will enough be enough? That's the big question. When will enough be enough? Or is it going to take a catastrophe to really shut the system down beyond working capability or any continuity before those changes come about? So those are the options for us. We can sit and wait for nature to kick in, and it already is, you know, got a good head start on us. You know, we've got the grand solar minimum taking place right now. We are in the midst of a geomagnetic reversal on our planet, and we are also returning back to a glacial period. The harvest has already been done. You know, we are approaching a long winter, which is going to be very long. The best days are behind us. We got the worst to come. And those are the things that we want to make sure people are mentally prepared for, and if they can, physically prepare for. And that has to be worth supporting this observatory, because I don't think anyone's going to be any honest than what I've been in this video and the other videos that I've got out there. And I suppose it's a good time now to mention the link in the description. You know, what are you waiting for till it's too late? It will be too late. Don't realise you should have done something after it was too late to do it. It's really starting to get dark now, so it's a good time to end the video. Guys, link down there if you want to help support us. 6 or 7 people, 7,000 people will watch this video, but just a couple will chip in. Huge thanks to those few that do, and a big thanks to those patrons as well. But they are small numbers, and we can do a lot better. Guys, you have a good evening. Take care of your loved ones. That's what I usually do. As always, bye for now.